Child's Plays Math, Unit 3. Incidental Learning. Welcome back. I expect you're wondering, what is incidental learning? Well, most of our learning is non-conscious or incidental. For example, schools make use of displays to communicate information to children. If you walk into a school, you'll see posters all over the place with information on a variety of subjects. This kind of information immersion is used to good effect by advertisers. Just think how easily children learn a jingle or a pop song. Would that somebody would come up with a really catchy jingle for every one of the times tables. Make life a lot easier, I think. Whilst playing with the rods, your child will inadvertently make 4 significant discoveries. So let's take a look at them. To explain this to you, I've opened up the software. Let's take a green rod, drag, click it into place, and children will discover as they play with the rods that rods of the same color have the same length. Conversely, they will also discover that rods of the same length have the same color. They'll discover this naturally while just playing with the rods. It's, again, what we call unconscious or incidental learning. And although it seems pretty obvious to us, it's to do with conservation of length and conservation of number. They will also discover that rods of a different color are also have a different length. Rods of different color have different lengths. It's another thing that we'll discover. And finally, they may well begin to discover that you can make rods of equal length by placing rods end to end. Let me just clear the screen. Yep, that's fine. And I'm going to start with an orange rod. Because what children will be doing here is actually learning about number bonds. Again, without realizing it, because at a later stage when we introduce number, at this stage we talk about the color names of the rods. We'll come to that later, how to introduce the color names of the rods and what letters to give them. The reason we don't introduce number is because, as I've already said, number is an abstract concept. That is introduced later because number can get in the way of children understanding of math concepts. So initially we don't want children to associate a rod with one particular number. We want them to have this mental agility as well, which we'll discuss later in the program. But at a later stage you'll see that if I take an orange rod and say put a green rod alongside it, at a later stage in the program you could say something like, what do I need to place end to end with the green rod to make it the same length, or as we introduce the terms, equal to the orange rod? And it's a process of trial and error. They may say that no, that doesn't fit. This doesn't fit, and eventually somebody might come along and say, try that. Yes, it's green and black, but end to end are equivalent to the orange rod. Okay, what would I need to put end to end with the pink rod, for example, to make the orange rod? And again, a process of trial and error. They will eventually come up with dark green as being the correct answer. It's a kind of a jigsaw. eventually they will know automatically what color rods end to end are equivalent to the orange rod, and these are terms we will introduce as we go through the program. And what they are learning here in this instance is number bonds up to 10. If I go to settings and click on setup, show numbers, okay, there you can see that at a later stage of the program we'll be talking about 10 equals 3 plus 7, 10 equals 4 plus 6. And so children are, without realizing it at this stage, gathering the experience and the knowledge to understand number bonds without you really having to teach them. This is just part of the process of incidental learning. So what I'm going to do now is just clear the screen, and we'll get on with the program. Okay, let's recap on what we've just been doing. Your child will have discovered, just by playing with the rods, that rods of the same color are also equal in length. And, I suppose, logically, rods of equal length are the same color. Rods of different color have different lengths. Your child will discover as they play that it's possible to make equal lengths. They won't think of them in those terms straight away, but it's possible to make equal lengths by putting rods end to end. And we saw how that panned out. Let's have a look. In this way, children will begin to acquire their number bonds to 10 without even realizing it. One thing that used to infuriate me was to see children counting on their fingers. This told me that they just didn't understand the concept of number bonds, of cardinal number. We'll look at that a little bit later on. But there you see the number bonds using the Cuisenaire rods to 10. Partitions to 10 of two numbers. And if children acquire these naturally, without even realizing it, it makes life so much more simpler later on. Okay, in the next video, what are we going to be looking at? Well, we're going to be looking at the vocabulary. Begin to look at the vocabulary to use when working with the rods, and why we will introduce algebra before arithmetic. May come as a bit of a shock to some of you, but actually it's the natural way to progress. Algebra before arithmetic. Please don't have panic attacks, those of you who, like me when I was in school, didn't see the point of algebra, couldn't work out what it was all about. You'll see that taking this approach, it's the natural progression, and children will learn easily, and they'll soon be writing algebraic expressions quite naturally. So no panic, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for your